This is Professor Michael Chapman. I'm one of the most experienced IVF doctors in Australia. I believe that an important part that I can contribute is to educate patients in relation to fertility, infertility, and all that involves. These series of podcasts help to educate you. I hope they are helpful to you. If you wish to know more, however, I'm more than happy to have you contact me via email, which is profmchapman@gmail.com, or make an appointment to see me on 9138 4222.
Oh, Prof, what advances in cryopreservation techniques have made egg freezing a more viable option for women?
The original way of freezing eggs, and the first pregnancy, in fact, in Australia, which occurred in the world, the first pregnancy that occurred in the world happened in Australia, in Adelaide, in the 80s, 1985, 1986, and that was a slow frozen egg. It was way ahead of its time because the next frozen egg pregnancies weren't reported until the early 90s. So the slow freezing technique is basically you put the egg, first of all, you dry it out. You try and get rid of all the fluid within it, which collapses the egg. And the reason for doing that is that the water within the egg turns to ice, and the ice crystals break up the structures within the egg and therefore break it down. So you've got to do what we call a desiccation. You've got to dry them out. And then that frozen, they start at room temperature, and gradually over 2 hours, the temperature is dropped down to minus 76 degrees, and then they're frozen forever. That technique really didn't work. We were talking about success rates per egg frozen of 2 to produce a pregnancy. About now 15 years ago, for embryos, there was development of something called vitrification, which is, first of all, you actually desiccate the egg again, but instead of taking 2 hours to freeze it, they just dropped into liquid nitrogen at minus 76, boom, that's it. And that has pushed the chances of one individual egg producing a baby up to 8 or 10%. That still doesn't sound very much, but when you compare it with 2%, you can see that it's a massive advance. And when women in their early 30s freeze eggs, it's likely they'll get 10 or 15 eggs, and if you work that out statistically, it gives them a very high chance of having a baby. If they've got 10 eggs, with an 8 to 10% chance of a baby, for each one of those, you can see that it's quite a good chance of a pregnancy. So that's changed the world. It's allowed initially oncology patients, women who are going to have chemotherapy that was going to wipe out their ovaries. We collect the eggs beforehand. That was the first group that we used to do it on before they had treatment. So they were available after they'd been successfully treated for their cancer. We used to then have a baby. Now, much more widespread is women in their late 20s, early 30s saying, I don't want babies now, I haven't got a man at the moment, in the future I want to have a baby, but I want to maximise my chances. And those young eggs have a much greater chance of producing a pregnancy than a woman at 40 with her own egg, probably by a factor of 5. That in terms of the numbers of eggs she'll get when she's 40 is going to be less, their quality is going to be less, and therefore having frozen your embryos at 30, frozen your eggs at 30, and using them when you get to 40 is going to give you a better chance of a pregnancy. So more and more women are taking that up.